ONETA. ONETA. Welcome to the ONETA Football Show, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, I am your host, Evan Davies, and I am in live and living color on the shorelines of Clark Lake, in Door County, Wisconsin. I'm starting my journey as of recording back home. I'm moving back to Wisconsin, leaving Philadelphia, and it's been real fun trying to get up this this makeshift rig on a picnic table outside of the family lake house, should we say, none the least. However, we have a show to do today. As of recording, we've got a lot of crazy news coming out of the NFL from a lot of different sources, a lot of different angles about what has transpired over the last couple weeks in the NFL world. Some for the consumer good, some for the consumer bad, but more importantly for human life, not the greatest of all time. So we are going to start on a little bit of a down note just so we can make sure we take care of that with some respect. And then we can move into our usual fun nature topics. As of yesterday of recording, I'm recording on July 7th, so Sunday. As of the Saturday, July 6th, prior to this recording, rookie cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, Khyree Jackson, has tragically passed away in a car accident, and he was accompanied by two of his longtime friends who were also college football players. Beyond the obvious sadness that this brings, there are still little details outside of the footage of, or the photos of the wreck. Without question, this is obviously sad. I don't have anything prepared about this one. He was a good player, full of potential. As a fourth-round pick for the Vikings, he possibly could have started for them this year. So the football player angle, that sucks. But way more important in this is the fact that someone's son, someone's friend, someone's brother has just passed away. And it absolutely sucks, and it sucks for all three of those families that are now dealing with it, and all of their extended family and friends. So as much as I would love to be all happy-go-lucky the second off the bat of this live show with you guys, I felt the need to talk about that for a little bit because unfortunately the details are few and far between. It is suspected that there could be some alcohol involved, but more importantly than anything, we got three grieving families that really, really need some support right now, and they don't need any trash commentary online from anybody. And so I want to extend thoughts out to you. It absolutely sucks. If you need support, there are people out there to support you. Go find that support as best you possibly can. And I don't want to say move forward because it's been so quick to do that, but all the best to you and your families. And there's support out there for you to find. So if you need it, go find it. But that is the news and notes with Khyree Jackson, but I wanted to pay respects to him and the two other people that were lost in that car accident. That it seems like truly, from the evidence that I have as of right now, from the news stories that I've read, an accident that was 100% not their fault. And yet, they've lost their lives now. So it's a nice stark reminder, especially of a wonderful 4th of July holiday for many here in the U.S. that was most likely spent with friends and family. Tell your family you love them. Be that supporting person for them when they need it as much as you possibly can. Go do that for them because you never know when or where you may lose them. So, rest in peace. All respect, Khyree Jackson, and friends and family to you. But let's move on to a negative topic, but not nearly as negative in the grand scheme of life that we just covered. It's probably the biggest news item we have on today's show. It's the Sunday ticket lawsuit. So if you have not been following the past 2-3 weeks, it was towards the end of June, the NFL Sunday ticket package, which I have been a subscriber to and I have been a part of as a consumer since 2018, has now been found to be illegal. Illegal from a sense that it violates antitrust laws of the consumer. So inherently, what does that mean? This is a class action lawsuit in which hundreds of businesses and then millions of residential class citizens, such as myself, I'm not a business buying Sunday ticket to view at a bar or a restaurant. I'm just a single person trying to watch the few games on the few screens that I have with my friends and family in my home. I'm a part of the residential class. So this is a class action lawsuit representing millions, which I believe all started in the mid 10s and has finally come to fruition after almost 10 years of a lawsuit. It stems from a bar stating that this is unfair business practices in San Francisco, one bar, and it starts the whole thing, because when you actually look at the ticket package itself, it's an imperfect model. The way the NFL does things, the way the NFL tries to market the packages, you have the ability to watch every game that's not in your market, when that's not inherently true, and it is not inherently the most consumer-friendly product. The thing is this classic business stylings of you either get a little or you get everything. There's no healthy medium ground, and that's been the unfortunate case for Sunday Ticket. In this lawsuit, the NFL Sunday Ticket package, the NFL has been ordered to pay just north of $4.7 billion. That's with a B, billion dollars, to those wrong that bought the package from a certain date. I am part of that package dates, so technically speaking, the NFL in this lawsuit, if it holds, the NFL theoretically would owe us of the consumer class that bought the product damages. So I could be, theoretically, as a consumer of this, I could once again reclaim money from that because it's part of the damages to the lawsuit. When you actually look at it specifically, 4.6 of the $4.7 billion goes to the residential class, because that's the far more people that were wronged from a numerical standpoint. Each team in this lawsuit, if this lawsuit holds, each team would be responsible for $441.3 million. Let me repeat that. Each team in the NFL, all 32 teams, would be responsible for $441.3 million. That is almost 2 salary cap years. Think about that. NFL teams would be required in this lawsuit, if it holds, to pony up nearly 2 years of salary cap money as part of a lawsuit. There are multiple reactions that we could all have towards this. One, I think it is in the best interest of the consumer that this lawsuit happens. I love the NFL. The NFL is part of my daily life. There's not a day that goes by that I do not think about the NFL, do not think about the Green Bay Packers in a positive light. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't relish the love for football, even, from a personal note. I'm here at the family lake house. I was just walking one of the family dogs on my birthday 2 days ago as of recording, going, life's really good. Today I don't get much better than this. I'm in one of my favorite places on earth. I'm walking a beautiful golden retriever. I'm getting some time alone by myself, but when I get back, I'm surrounded by tons of people that love me and care for me. The only thing that could make this better is a little bit of snow and a Green Bay Packer football game. That's the only way this day could get better. Even when I break down the happiness of life, the things that could make it better, part of it is the NFL. So I'm not anti-NFL. I don't think anyone should be completely anti-NFL when it comes to, I'm a football fan, but I hate the league itself. You can hate practices of the league, but if you hate the league itself, you're kind of barking up a tree that doesn't inherently make sense. You have to find the balance that works for you, obviously, as a fan. But in this lawsuit, it's going against antitrust laws because it's unfair to the consumer. You don't inherently get all the games. So it's false advertising, number one. And number two, it's to protect business interests, which don't inherently lie with the consumer. But three, a huge one for the out-of-market games, is that they inherently, I saw stuff going back to last year with the switch from DirecTV to YouTube TV as a part of the NFL Sunday Ticket package host site, if you will. YouTube TV just got it from DirecTV. In this, it is theorized that the NFL inherently picked a partner that wanted to inherently overcharge the consumer to try to make the most amount of money possible. They weren't trying to find the middle ground in which they are supposed to do by law to say, okay, we're providing this service and we are doing so, and we're doing it at the best possible rate for the consumer. That's not what happened. They intentionally picked a partner that really wanted to ally with the ideas of the NFL of charging every single penny that they could to do so. It's no different. People can say, well, that happens all the time. Think of it this way. If you buy your NFL tickets, not NFL Sunday, but Thursday night game, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night game, whatever day of the week that the NFL is playing, if you buy that ticket off of Ticketmaster, you are not paying face value for the ticket because you have to do third-party deals and all that kind of stuff settled so that Ticketmaster makes it money, and the ticket holder who is giving that ticket away recoups their money or makes the money that they're supposed to get. However, that is legal because it's a resale. Whereas, for instance, I am now a very proud Green Bay Packers season ticket holder. The face value of the tickets that my wife and I possess is $185, I believe, for our face value seats. But if we go to Ticketmaster to sell those, we're not most likely going to charge $185 if we can't use the tickets during a specific week for life events or what have you. So if you were going for a direct-to-consumer market model, you'd say, okay, I'm going to charge someone that $185. Whereas if you're trying to profit to the maximum level as a one-for-one trade, it does not work out because you're inherently screwing the consumer. In this case, we're far closer to that second model, in which the NFL is providing a service and intentionally finding ways to make it cost more money without providing the value that it is, which is part of why the antitrust lawsuit is happening, and now has been won in the eyes of the court that held it in California, in that this is how it goes. You're screwing a consumer. You owe them reparations and damages due to the lawsuit that you caused. So that's kind of where it is with that. And my apologies for anyone who's watching on YouTube and getting a little bit more of a darker picture right now. I'm just trying to do the best for you. So the NFL Sunday ticket model is inherently flawed and does not have middle grounds, and is always trying to find the highest price point it can possibly make unfairly, which is why it violates antitrust laws. Especially because there were reports that they were trying to go with Apple TV or other providers that wanted to, specifically Apple TV, wanted to pay for the rights to the package to the NFL and then make it a part of Apple TV's subscription. They didn't even want to charge, theoretically, in one report, they didn't even want to charge an additional fee to have it as a consumer. Now, where would you like to be as a consumer? Would you like to be paying, if you were paying full price for an NFL Sunday ticket, you're paying roughly $300-ish to YouTube TV. Google and YouTube make $300 off of you to get a flawed model of a package. Or would you like to be with Apple TV and subscribe for a monthly service and pay $9.99 a month or whatever it is for Apple TV, and you can enjoy for the 4 months that you're subscribed, September through January or September through December, and I'm sure you'd probably pick January as well in this case, for $50, $10 a month, you can get the NFL Sunday ticket package. Where would you rather be as a consumer? Inherently, the NFL chose not to do that. They chose to go with a higher price model that aligned more with their goals of making every dollar possible and not treating the consumer fairly and being honest with them. So inherently, that's an antitrust violation. And I know I'm not a lawyer, so I'm doing the best I can here. But when we look at the NFL Sunday ticket package, it's a flawed model that needs to be fixed. Part of what's going to fix it is a lawsuit like this that's going to force them to change it. I'll be the first to tell you, I still plan on having the NFL Sunday ticket. I do, and hopefully that doesn't screw me out of the reparation damage money that I may receive as part of this lawsuit. I still plan on, in some way, shape, or form, with an improved model, that's a better way to phrase that, I would still be very interested in being a Sunday Ticket customer. Because running a football podcast on a weekly basis and having friends from across the country, I have friends that are Lions fans and 49er fans and Giants fans, and all kinds of fans around me. As much as I love the Green Bay Packers, it's not as though every person in my life loves the Green Bay Packers. And even though we will be in the local market and that's going to help, I still want to have the ability to, when I cannot get them directly, I want to be able to watch Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at any time. The Sunday Ticket package is the best option for me. It just needs to be done fairly. I still want to be able to see the big games of, let's say the Ravens-Bengals if they're not on, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. I still would like to be able to have the opportunity to watch that game and not have to do it over Fox or CBS over the air. I need to be able to get that ticket package, if you will, so I'd still be interested in having it with an improved model. So inherently we need to find a middle ground that's going to work for the consumer when it comes to Sunday NFL ticket packaging. One option that would be tremendous is if you could just buy a team. That's going to come at a much cheaper rate, but I would much rather have the opportunity to go, including now that NFL Network is possibly up for sale and is highly problematic, I would love the opportunity to go, hey, let's use my home team, the Green Bay Packers. For the last 6 years, I've been away from that market. Green Bay was not usually the number one game in the market that I was living in. So inherently, I would love the option to say $30 for the season, $50 for the season, a reasonable fee for those games. You can watch every Packer game. No matter what, you get the broadcast for this much money. That'd be fair. That'd be logical. I would pay that possibly for multiple teams if that was an option, or if you could pick 5 teams for $50, whatever the case may be, or the total package is $100. Many people that are in that middle ground are going to upgrade to the highest tier. It's no different than now the tiers of streaming with Netflix. They make sure that if you get the no-ad model with multiple screens, such as a family package, such as my family has, you get the best possible quality they can get with additional movies and everything else with no ads, because it's an additional service for you and you want to move up to the highest package. If you're going to be in that weird middle ground where you're going to need multiple screens but you don't want ads, you might as well add a couple extra bucks a month to go get it. It's logical. So we need to have a healthier middle ground, and we need to have a fair price point. Those are the two biggest things when we look at NFL Sunday Ticket to make it better. That's what we have to do. That is now an option with the lawsuits going to force the NFL to change its model. Even if they somehow, in a very, let's put it this way, Mike Florio just talked about this. I do not avoid politics on a show if it's relevant. We are going to be doing some more political commentary on some other shows, but the ONETA Football Show, unless it directly involves football, we're not going to be doing much of. However, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, bloodhound at trying to make sure that the consumer, the NFL fan, is best up to date on all the information that they possibly could have, is out there, and very much a protector of the NFL fan, just stated that in terms of the John Gruden lawsuit, John Gruden lawsuit, in which inherently judges, courts that are made up of nominees from a Republican basis are generally more pro-business. Those on the left side of things, a Democratic-approved court with justices appointed by Democratic governments, are generally more pro-consumer. This case happened in California, which is usually known as the most liberal state in the country by far, for good reason. Its political leanings look like that constantly. They have for decades. this lawsuit happened in a California court. So you need to be understanding that whether you want to get political or not about it, this court saw to it that said consumers were screwed because they're probably more consumer-based than they are business-based in their leanings and how they rule things. So to take that and make it relevant here, the NFL is either going to need to somehow get this switched to an arbitration case, which it could not do already. It's going to need to appeal this and then make judges flip around their usual leanings. Also, probably not going to happen, or get this case thrown out and moved to a more business-friendly state that leans red in their court appointees. So those are all things to think about when we're looking at this. But if this holds, we're going to see great changes to the NFL Sunday Ticket in more ways than one, and they could be very heavily great for us, the football fan, or they could be horrible in Sunday Ticket as we know it may never exist again. So there are a lot of things going into this that are very wise and very smart to look into. But I would caution you this, if you're listening to this and you are interested in the NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit, or you're just a consumer that loves the NFL Sunday Ticket or thinks it's flawed, stay up to date about this, because over the next couple months, more and more stuff's going to pour out, and you're going to really want to know what's happening right before September when you possibly buy this product. So think about that as you go forward. But that is the biggest news item that we have. $4.7 billion being ordered to be paid out by the NFL, which will be $441.3 million per team. And 4.6 of that is meant for us, the consumers that bought the NFL Sunday Ticket. So keep that in mind. Another little news and note here that I felt the need to cover. Like I said, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. A former Green Bay Packer has been having quite the time in New York for the last month, seemingly because he can never get out of the headlines. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets going through the media storm of New York, especially during a time when NFL news is in short supply. So the talking heads of the internet, talking heads of traditional television media, they need something to talk about. And our former quarterback from Green Bay decided to give him something to talk about. What I don't understand is this, for context, if you don't know. Aaron Rodgers had unexcused absences during mandatory minicamp. So for those that may be listening that do not understand, the offseason program for an NFL simply breaks down to this. There are days in which the players can't even be really in the facility outside of extemporaneous circumstances. Number one. Then, during the off-season program, they have voluntary minicamp. So anyone who's not a rookie, because all rookies are mandated to come to all of minicamp, anyone who is part of the voluntary process as a player can opt out. They can say, no, I don't want to go. And then that transitions to mandatory minicamp in a couple weeks after that, in which the whole team is supposed to be there in May. That's when you start first doing some things together. You're not inherently installing game plans, but you're starting to really install pieces of the offense and go from there, defense whatsoever. You're starting to get in schematics. It's surface level stuff by many team standards. However, it's there. And then you get into training camp, which is towards the end of July. What makes no sense about this, Aaron Rodgers, who, whether you like him or not, quite the eccentric, has decided that, as we all know by much of his commentary online, he is a very outside-the-box thinker, somewhat, if not completely, a conspiracy theorist by a lot of people's standards. And he scheduled a vacation during mandatory minicamp to go to Egypt to speak to an Egyptologist about Egypt. And he had to go during this time because it's the only time that this Egyptologist could do that. I'm sorry, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck are we doing? What I don't understand is how this is his choice. It was not excused by the team in many ways. It doesn't seem like it, because head coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh, stated to the press who knows that Aaron Rodgers is a popular player, who knows Aaron Rodgers is a lightning rod, and who knows the New York market is going to take every little bit and piece about Rodgers news super seriously and is going to run with it and make it even more of a big deal than it may be. Goes and tells the New York media it's an unexcused absence. Bro. So you have the star quarterback in a quote-unquote Super Bowl or bust year, which could possibly be his last year of football, who just turned 40, or is turning 40, I believe. He's going to go take an unexcused absence during mandatory minicamp after he only got to play 4 downs last season. Are you fucking serious? And that's the worst part is you know how talented Aaron Rodgers is. It's not as though Aaron Rodgers won't be able to throw the football. No one's worried about that. No one's concerned about that. But how can the hypocrisy, a lot of people used to get on Aaron's predecessor, Brett Favre in Green Bay, for being hypocritical, so to speak. Not wanting to show up for work, only wanting to do the fun part of camp. And he didn't want to do mini camp. He barely ever showed up to training camp, so to speak. Aaron doubles down and says a lot of stuff at the end of the season. You got to get rid of the bullshit. Anything that's not football and team success related needs to get out of the building. And then he keeps making himself a headline for non-football things and causing a distraction. Does the team really believe this is a distraction or not? We don't know. I think a few players have been interviewed and they've been supportive at the very least. But if this does not illustrate 2 things. One, Aaron Rodgers is hypocritical in some way, shape, or form, which should have been obvious by now. And I forever love Aaron Rodgers. I'm not shitting on Aaron Rodgers, the player that has brought me years of happiness and also years of strife as someone who transitioned back to the home team of the Green Bay Packers during the pandemic because I was lost for a good decade there. But Aaron Rodgers made me happy at a time that I didn't think I could be happy transitioning across the country during a global pandemic. I will forever be thankful for the happiness he helped bring me and bring me back to the home team and make me feel at home again. However, if this does not illustrate even more that Aaron Rodgers is hypocritical and can't be trusted in some way, shape, or form verbally, I don't know what does. 2, how dysfunctional and disorganized can an NFL franchise fucking be? The Jets are always a laughingstock because of bullshit like this. Total bullshit like this. That they can't get their own house in order. Robert Saleh looks like an ineffective coach who has no control over his team. Aaron Rodgers looks like the stereotypical diva that everyone says he is by doing shit like this and not just going to the team and saying, hey, I'm burnt out. I needed a break. This aligns with my interests. This distracts me from the game. I think I need this during the healing process. Even that could have been a 1.5 minute social media clip, and within a day, this story would have been gone. But the Jets team, Jets the team organization, Jets the PR team, Jets coaching facilities and coaching team, they all can't get on the same page with the star quarterback of the team, who's played 4 downs for them in a Super Bowl or bust year, and they can't get their shit together to just say, Aaron's planning on doing this. Although we don't feel it's best for the team, we know that Aaron's still our future for this year as the quarterback of the New York Jets. We need to make this the best possible that we can. We need to make sure we always have positive press because the Jets are not successful enough and the Jets are not good enough to justify taking negative press. They're not. Straight up. The Jets, in my lifetime since 1992, the Jets have been successful, if I recall, 4 seasons maybe. Never sniffed a Super Bowl outside of AFC Championship appearances with Mark Sanchez and the Rex Ryan teams. The best Jets season, there we go, those are fucking words. The best Jets season was derailed when my childhood hero, who I very much distanced myself from in Brett Favre, had that team rolling at 8-3 and got injured. But that team was rolling. They were clearly the best team in the NFL that year. That's one of the top 5 years of my lifetime. Think about that. A derailed 9-7 season where you missed the playoffs was one of the best 5 years in Jets history of the last 32 years. I was born in 1992. I just turned 32 as of recording 2 days ago. A 9-7 season where you missed the playoffs is one of the best seasons you've ever had in that 32-year span. That is embarrassing. Not every team can win the Super Bowl, especially during a dynasty-laden period with Tom Brady winning 7 and Patrick Mahomes winning 3. So a third of the years I've been alive, 2 quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl. However, it's fucking embarrassing when you can't get your shit together and look at our history and go, we got to get this on the same page. Woody Johnson is such an ineffective owner who has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Robert Saleh looks like a joke, and frankly, his coaching has shown him to be a head coach. He's a joke as of right now. I don't dislike Robert Saleh. I hope for whatever happens for him that hopefully they can succeed for his sake. I'm not rooting for the Jets, but I'm also not rooting ill will towards Aaron Rodgers or anybody. But Woody Johnson looks like a completely ineffective owner who has no idea what the fuck he's doing with a disorganized franchise for now 2+ decades as the owner, who can't hire competent staff to succeed. And this roster is full of players that can succeed. So even if you want to say, well, last year Aaron Rodgers got injured, the Jets, as you looked at it, were not good enough to make a giant playoff push. Maybe they could have been a wild card team last year, in my estimation. But they weren't going to go be AFC Championship quality teams. They sure as hell weren't going to beat the Chiefs at the end of the year. They weren't going to be able to beat the Buffaloes at the end of the year with the way they were playing. It's just not the case. So even if you want to play in La La Land fantasy world, that's horseshit. It's an owner that can't get it together, an ineffective coach, a PR team that absolutely sucks at their job in the most wild storm fire that is a media market in New York City. How the fuck do you not know your shit by now? And get on top of this and talk to Bob, Robert Saleh, talk to Aaron, talk to the owner and say, what do you guys want us to do here? Make sure Robert doesn't answer that question, and we'll find a way to answer it the best we possibly can. And hopefully we can get Aaron even on social media saying, hey, this is my life, this is what I need to do. It's for the best of me. My recovery wasn't going to really, in my opinion, allow me to perform very well at mandatory minicamp. So I took a break here because I need that in my current state. That would at least been something. But there's 4 parties here that all look like a fucking joke. The star quarterback, the head coach, the owner, and the PR team all look like a bunch of fucking morons. How do you do that? I'll tell you how. Run a shit show of an organization like the New York Jets, who don't deserve to win. And you can say that's very strong words, but it's the truth. Strong organizations successfully have tenure in the NFL. There's a reason Pittsburgh never absolutely sucks. And there's a reason the Chicago Bears can't do shit for years. There's a reason the Green Bay Packers are always in a playoff conversation on a consistent basis. Or New England for 20 years with Tom Brady knew what they were doing because the entire organization was top to bottom, unified in a single vision, and understood what the goals and expectations for their team were. As opposed to the Jets, who have no fucking clue what they're doing. Zero. So by that standard, they don't deserve to win. That's, I think, the biggest shame of the Aaron Rodgers controversy. It's not, oh, the diva quarterback went on a vacation when he shouldn't have. Whatever, dude. It's more, it just shows the picture of the hypocrisy in that building, of people not knowing what the actual reasonings behind being there are. And also, it just shows you don't have an organization that's worthy of winning in the NFL. So that's the real shame here. Then our last note of the day, in this news and notes style, as of recording, it was just announced they've already had a couple of daily shows that I will at least check out. However, one of my favorite podcasts in the NFL stream, in the pro football streaming world, has now ended unceremoniously. Didn't even get a last final episode because they're from the NFL Network. This goes out to the Around the NFL podcast. I think one thing that's really important, this is kind of a personal note, but also just a tip for anyone who wants to talk football online, talk a topic that you love online, share your opinions online and make a community for yourself, is go find the podcast that you can't go without listening to. Go find those shows that you absolutely adore. Go find those personalities that inspire you to do this. And in many ways, shape, or forms, I owe a huge thank you to the Around the NFL podcast. They are part of the reason I've wanted to do this for so long, and why every single week I have been extremely diligent making this, because they showed me that was the way to do things. It is flabbergasting on two notes. One, from the NFL Network standpoint, the NFL media standpoint, why one of your best shows that is one of the few things that always got positivity and was your number one overseas show. People overseas loved the Around the NFL podcast. They had a huge, huge international market and international presence for their podcast. And they reminded you of it daily because they really appreciated those fans. That podcast was super creative, but also tapped into the market that you're trying to get to clearly within the next 5 to 10 years. It is abundantly clear the NFL wants to have teams internationally. They want to really make sure that the game continues to grow in an international basis. And, of course, make more money, as we saw in the NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit. However, I don't think the way to do that, even when you're reevaluating the NFL Media Group, is to get rid of a podcast. When you actually look at it from an NFL standpoint, you can say, oh, well, they have to reevaluate everything. It's 3 podcasters who also double as writers and high quality writers for your website, which is supposed to be the bastion of all NFL news. And you need a sound editor and one other media tech person to really run that podcast. It's 5 people's salaries to tap into an international market that is getting more and more popular by the day, which is helped by this podcast. So it's not even me trying to say, why'd you cancel my favorite podcast? Because I love my favorite podcast and I can't go without it. It's just illogical from a business standpoint because they were super popular in international markets that you're trying to tap to. So why would you cut your legs out from under you and take away that opportunity from yourself? Makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. So the Around the NFL podcast is now changing to NFL Daily, and it's going to be hosted by Greg Rosenthal, one of the 3 lasting members of the Around the NFL podcast. All the best to you, Greg. Love listening to you. And he's losing his 2 co-hosts and the real host of the show, Dan Hansis, and their ultimate fun wild card, Mark Sessler. As a listener and a fan of that podcast who absolutely adored it, I just want to say thank you. You guys inspired me to do this. You inspire so many people to be super creative and talk about the game in the way that they see fit. 13 years of a podcast is a really long time, but being a diligent listener for the vast majority of that time, I must say my drive into work when I start working again is not going to be nearly as fun without you guys. My ability to learn the game as quickly as I could from a team-by-team basis every single year is not going to be the same. It's absolutely going to suck to not have you guys. From, Win Wes's Toaster to, Around the NFC in 3 minutes to all the random crazy games that you guys played. The GM app I still think is a genius idea, boys. And you guys impersonating GMs from across the league will always be stuck in my memory as a huge fan of yours. Just wanted to say a huge thank you to the Around the NFL podcast for inspiring me to do this. Super appreciated. In this very foggy, dense, horribly lit outside podcast that I'm doing right now for those that are on YouTube. But you guys are going to be missed. It sucks that you can't have a farewell show. I hope to see you guys down the road in some way, shape, or form, because you guys were great podcasters and you inspired people to do this and created a real fan base. So thank you to Dan, Greg, Mark, our always beloved Chris Wessling, who passed on a couple of years ago, and Connie Fox, Patrick Claybron, Ricky Hollywood, everybody else that was ever involved in that podcast in a real way. Nick Shook, and all the editors and all the wonderful people that worked on that show. Huge bit of gratitude from this fellow podcaster. I'm just a guy with a computer and a microphone talking shit sometimes. And you guys had a really fun way to get people involved in the game that means the world to me. So thank you so much. It sucks that we're not going to see you again, but I hope to see you down the road in some way, shape, or form. But that is going to do it for this episode of the show. On the next episode, we're going to start talking about NFL expansion, which is another reason I wanted to bring up the NFL, around the NFL podcast. Because I've got another giant section. We got a lot of good feedback from you guys as listeners and viewers on YouTube, liking the college football, or Time to Fix college football series that we did. And I've got a whole nother series lit up of how to expand internationally and how we were going to do that as an NFL. It's going to be a 3-part series happening in August. We're going to start that process next week by talking about expansion drafts and the things of that nature, how you'd go about doing this, and then we're really going to ramp it up in August. So you guys have some really quality content in August right before the season starts. So we're going to get to that international expansion style model pretty soon on the show, and we're going to continue going into NFL news as it happens as best as we possibly can here for PT Creative. Now I will say, if you enjoyed yourself and you really liked listening or watching this show, which is highly appreciated, go give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. That'd really be helpful. Another way that you can be super helpful, honestly, head over to our Etsy shop. Go to ptecreative.etsy.com. There you can find all kinds of cool merch about all things that we do on the channel. And we do have some good football merch coming, even more than we already have over on the store. So go check out ptecreative.etsy.com and go get yourself some cool merch. But beyond that, we also have some other really great content that you can go check out. Monday now through Saturday. That is correct. Monday through Saturday, we now have content for you instead of our Monday through Friday model, because we have started a new podcast. So Mondays, you're still going to get awesome Pokemon card pack openings here on the channel. Tuesdays, it's the flagship show. It's the ONETA Show, rotating topics. We do crossovers with them from time to time with the football show and the ONETA Show. Wednesday, you know it, you love it. It's custom Pokemon for the Fakemon region. Thursday, you're already here, you already know it, you already love it. It's the ONETA Football Show, where we're talking shit about football all day long. Friday, it's the rotational show, adventure show, brick builder show. A lot of different fun content is coming your way. And now on Saturdays, if you're a moviegoer, you're a movie watcher, go check it out. It's the new ONETA Movie Show, hosted by myself and my lovely co-host, our favorite internet bald man, Dylan Davies, and we're going back and doing a lot of fun stuff from yesteryear, but a lot of new creative stuff that you're going to like, and new modern reviews are coming your way too. So go check out the ONETA Movie Show on Saturdays. The rest of those podcasts, including the ONETA Movie Show, can all be seen on Spotify as well, or listened to on Spotify, seen on YouTube, so we have a little bit of different product there. So give us a review if you're on Spotify, give us a like, a comment, and subscribe here on YouTube if you could. It'd be super helpful. But beyond that, have a wonderful day, football fans. I hope you are enjoying your break from the season. But we're going to get back soon, and it's going to be glorious. Peace, love, and hugs to you all. Bye.